All right. Welcome back to the Bear Down Ball Out podcast. It's your man Big Drew here, and we are talking about the 2026 Chicago Cubs season coming up. And hopefully, you watched some of my other videos about the schedule itself and which games we really like and which ones we think are going to be a great time at Wrigley Field this weekend. And that video talks about Memorial Day weekend and 4th of July and Labor Day games and a couple of away games. But today, this video, we're going to focus on what are the best seats to buy. Which tickets do you want to buy at Wrigley Field to have a great time and a fun baseball experience this summer? Now, there's a lot of things you got to factor in for people making decisions. You got to kind of think about some things. We're thinking, is this going to be our first time ever going to Wrigley? Or do we think we're going to be going to a whole lot of ball games this summer? Are we celebrating something special? Am I good in the sun? How am I with the heat? How am I with the cold? There's a lot of things that factor into having the best premium experience at the friendly confines and watching baseball at Wrigley Field and flying that W all year long on our way to the playoffs. So there's a handful of different tickets. If we really break it down to different tickets, we got about a half dozen options here that we'll talk about in this video. We're going to talk about, should we buy tickets for the bleachers? Do we want to buy lower level tickets? Do we want to buy upper level tickets? Do we want to sit on first base or should we sit down the third base line? Maybe we only want to get standing room only tickets, or do we want to shell out the big bucks for the VIP suites and special access tickets? It's a tough call. So that's your pocketbook, it's your money, but I'm here trying to give you my play-by-play breakdown of what I would do since I've been to a lot of games growing up as a kid. I've been to a lot of different sports events all over, and that's just my kind of my thing. That's why I have a podcast. Duh. So let's talk about it. Now, everybody talks or really wants to go, and they're famous for the bleacher tickets at Wrigley. You know, they're wild. It's a fun crowd out there. You know, they're drinking, they're making beer snakes in the bleachers. You know, so everyone always says we should sit in the bleachers, but there's some things to know about the bleacher tickets right off the bat. Now, there's left field bleachers and right field bleachers, and then you got your center bleachers. All of them are general admission, meaning that you don't have an assigned seat. You just sit wherever you got room. They are also on an actual bench style seating, so you don't have a seat back to it. For me, that's tough. I got a bad back. You know, I play a lot of golf. I'm stiff sometimes, even if I've had some beers. So sitting on bench seats can be a real challenge for some people if you're going to do that for an entire 9 innings of baseball. So right off the bat, you got to wonder, do I want to be able to have my own seat where I know my seat number, I know my row, I can kind of lean back, I got cup holders, or can I handle sitting on the bench seats for that long? Now there are the left field, they have kind of a cult group over there and a lot of OG regulars and season ticket holders. They even have some of their own shirts. They have even some potluck kind of lunches where everyone brings food and shares with each other there in the bleachers, and it's a really cool thing. And then you also have some people in the bleachers who are getting a little out of hand and who are drinking too much, and some of the college age young folks, and that's fine, and they're fun, and that's kind of what makes Wrigley cool. But you just got to know. I probably wouldn't recommend bringing kids and sitting in the bleacher area with young kids. Um, it might be a little bit offensive for some of them at that point. Your kids are in high school, hey, that's probably they can handle it. But your kids are super young, 5, 6, 7, 8 year olds. Eh, the bleachers might not be the best area for them. Now, the bleachers also have a patio kind of mezzanine where you can actually stand during some of the game and watch some of the game. There's some different beer concessions, a couple different brat stations back there. So it does give you the flexibility of not having to sit on the, again, that really stiff metal old school bench for the bleachers. So that's pretty cool. One other real bonus of the bleacher tickets is that you can actually walk around Wrigley Field, the entire stadium. They'll have a bracelet with your bleacher tickets. It gives you full access to walk the park, go into the concessions, go to the stores, see different areas of Wrigley. If you sit in the main area, behind home plate, you cannot go into the bleacher area and hang out on the patio. So that's a nice bonus for bleacher ticket people. And the last thing is, if you get bleacher tickets, take the time and go 2 hours early. Not because you can't get seats, but because of batting practice. They have batting practice, and at Wrigley, everyone's hitting home runs out the park during batting practice. You'll have an opportunity to catch 5 or 10 home runs because there's not that many people there, and you'll catch a lot of game balls and baseballs. And at the end of the game, if you're lucky, you can probably get one of the players to sign the game balls for you. So the huge value I find in the bleacher tickets is going early for the batting practice, having the experience, catching some baseballs during the game, even every time there's a home run, you're excited, you're trying to catch a home run, and then also having the flexibility to kind of hang out on the patio itself and having some open air standing areas on bleacher tickets. So that's kind of my fun part about bleacher tickets. I'm just going to ballpark them anywhere from $150 up to down to $50 per game. Just depends on the game, but $100 is probably just an average price that you're going to pay for bleacher tickets. Now we're going to go inside Wrigley now. If we're not buying bleacher tickets, then we got our choice. We can be on the lower level or we can be upper level, and we got first base, we got third base. So right off the bat, I got a lot of the season ticket holders are going to be closer, to home plate and everything around home plate, around closer to third plate. But you have your lower level 100s tickets all around Wrigley, and then you have your lower level 200s tickets. Now, 100, great tickets. They're a blast. You're up close. They're going to be a little pricier. In the summertime, those 100s will be in the sun generally. Especially if you're along that third base outfield line, you're going to be in the sun. So when it's 85 degrees, it feels like 100 degrees. Same with the bleachers. I forgot to mention that in the bleachers in the summertime, you are going to sweat. You are going to get beat down with the sun, and you need to be prepared with sunscreen because I see a lot of out of shape people and people who have not left the house from a frozen winter and they're pasty white and they go out to their first and only game of the year at Wrigley and they get crushed by the sun. Sunburnt, heat exhaustion, they're getting carried out by the medics. This happens in outfield. It also happens along the infield as well. So take care of yourselves, guys. You got to know summertime, 1 p.m. games, you are going to be in the sun. You have to watch out for that. If you're not good in the sun, that's when you want to look at the 200 level tickets. On the lower level, the 200s are generally going to be in the shade. They're a lot cooler. They're also going to be cheaper tickets, so you save money. Now, it can work against you. Here in March on the opening weekend, April, even in May, it's still cold in Chicago. 50 degrees with the lakefront wind coming in on a cold game, it can feel 30 to 40 degrees. That's why I got the hoodie. I bought this hoodie last year when I went into the ballpark and I was freezing my butt off. So the 200 levels, you will be in the shade. In the spring and late fall playoffs, you're cold. You got to know that. You're going to be in the shade. You're cold. So dress prepared. Know what you're getting yourself into. Now, also, Wrigley is famous for They have big construction poles that hold the upper level, the upper level seats in the entire ballpark in the air. Now those construction poles are located in section 200, generally along row 7 and 6. Why does this matter? Because if you book row 8, row 9, and it's a really cheap ticket and you're super excited and you get there, you might have a construction pole right in front of you. Literally right in front of you. And you are pissed off. You're like, what the hell is this? This is terrible. I didn't want this. So you got to know what you're buying. You can look at the seat picture on your StubHubs, your cheaptickets.com, your SeatGeeks, and they'll show kind of a seat picture of what you're going to look at, but don't trust those. A lot of times they get those wrong. Those are digital renderings. There are a couple websites where you can go and find the exact physical picture of the seat. They have pictures from concerts, hockey games, football games, and Cubs games that have been at Wrigley. I trust those a lot more. If I can find it, I will put it here in the description for you. So if you book section 200s and we book rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have great seats, unobstructed view, premium, amazing game at Wrigley, and you're going to have a blast. You're going to have a good time. But if we are behind that in rows 8, 9, 10, all the way back, there is a chance you will have you will have a blocked view. It's just part of Wrigley. You just got to know what you're getting yourself into. So now we're saying, I don't know. Do I want to deal with that? Well, your other option is to go up. You can go up and sit upper level. Small ballpark. We are a neighborhood ballpark at Wrigley. You'll still have great seats upper level. You got great views upper level. I sat front row, upper level sections. I think it was 300s. Had a great time, except I'm tall. I'm 6'5". When I stand up, I was afraid I was actually going to fall over the railing. Every time a foul ball came, I was afraid I was going to fall over the railing. So if you're not good with heights or you're really tall like me, get row 2, 3, 4. Move yourself back just a little bit and let's not fall out of the stadium there and get killed. It has happened in different ballparks around the world. So upper level tickets are great. You're going to save money. You're still going to have a great view. You're still going to have a great time. And they have a mezzanine up there on the 300, 400 level that has grills, that has beer concessions. Their bathrooms are quicker usually because there's not that many people as compared to lower level where you have the big horse trough and a huge line of people for the bathrooms. So you do have a cool mezzanine and it overlooks Clark and Addison on the street. So you got a real cool street view. So I do. I'm a big fan of the upper level tickets, especially if you're going to go to a lot of games throughout the season. Save the money and have a great experience. Now the next option is, do we want standing room only tickets? There are a few standing room onlys. You will be up there on that mezzanine, basically on the upper level. They have some TVs. You can kind of watch the game. You can stand around and have beers and chum it up with people. You can watch Clark and Addison. But there's not many places inside Wrigley that you can go and post up on the railing and watch the game from inside the park. They have a lot of security guards. There is just a lot of people working at Wrigley, and they won't let you stand at the railings. There's no real good spot unless you have those bleacher tickets to stand inside Wrigley and watch the game without being at your seat. So what do you do if you have a general admission ticket? Is you can still walk around. You can kind of do laps from the right field to the left field, go down into the lower levels. You can still be on the lower levels and walk left field all the way around to right field and kind of take your time and mosey around and drink your beer. And you're still down there for the action. You're just not standing still where security guards are going to throw you out. You can get general admission for sometimes $20. I've caught them for like $15 once the game starts and I'm coming late and I'm like, I just want to go inside. I was going to watch the game at a bar, but I'm feeling the hype. I'm feeling the action. I want to get inside Wrigley. You can grab them for cheap, once the game starts. Before the game, I think they're around 20, maybe $30. It's a cool thing to do, especially if you're just going to bounce around the whole time, or, for whatever. So I do, there are times when they just make sense. Now, do you want to sit first base or do you want to sit third base line? That's up to you. That's a personal preference. Some people like first base line because they know that there's going to be a lot of action running to first base and a lot of people getting thrown out at first base. You also have a clear view of the big digital board in the outfield, which is more on the left field line is the score, digital board on the right field line. You still have a big scoreboard as well. So it's just more about watching people get thrown out at first base, in my opinion. I like third base. I like seeing a guy rounding second, speeding into third, trying to get a triple, or rounding second, rounding third, and speeding into home plate and sliding in there and watching PCA, slide in and score a run. And you get a lot more home runs pulled left at Wrigley to the left field bleachers. There's more home runs to the left. So overall, I like third base. I sit section 100s generally. That's kind of my go-to. Tickets are going to be around 150 on a ballpark average, 150 to $250 per game. If you catch a good seat, lower level, 100 section on the left base line there. Now, maybe you got big bucks. Maybe you want to do the VIP experience. The VIP experience and the suites, they have actual different food than the normal general concession area. You've got fancy foods. You got fancy burgers and filet mignon burgers and cheesesteaks and all kinds of different things there. And you have a private area besides your seats. They have a little private entrance. You go into the VIP suites. So for the big ballers out there, maybe that's for you. The biggest advantage I've heard about the VIP suites is the bathrooms. The ladies like the bathrooms because they're fancy bathrooms, they're super clean, and there's not a big line. So fellas, if it's your anniversary and you're going to Wrigley, you will be a stud if you take your lady and you score yourself some VIP tickets that have the private club entrance so that your lady has a nice, clean, fresh bathroom that she can use. It matters. It matters to the ladies. Fellas, for us, we're just doing the horse trough. We're whipping it out and letting it fly, and then we're running back to our seats there to get into Wrigley. So those are your options. Now, for me, if I'm looking at two tickets, $500 each, that's $1,000. Hey, that's baller status. You're dropping $1,000, you're going to Wrigley, it's your once in a lifetime experience, you're never coming back, or it's a birthday, it's a party, it's something special. And sure, you're buying that. Or do we want to buy tickets at $50 each? Two tickets for $100. $1,000 versus 100, one game versus one game. If we want to make this apples to apples, I can do 10 games of cheap tickets and go to Wrigley 10 times this summer for $1,000 versus one time. And during that one time, there's always a chance that the Cubs play bad, that we get, a bad pitcher going, and we lose, and then it's a super bummer. You just spent $1,000 to watch your team lose, and you're pissed off, and you're like, I'm never coming back to Wrigley. This sucked, whatever. Nah, not this guy. If we lose, that's all right because I'm coming back the next day, the next week, the next month, and I'm going to have a great time at Wrigley, great time at Murphy's, great time at Sheffield's and the Billy Goat Tavern. And the game is just a bonus because I'm fine buying cheaper seats and going to lots of games and having a lot more experiences and having a lot more stories about buddies that I met up with and people from out of town that I brought. All kinds of great times. Other things that I do downtown Chicago while I go to Wrigley, hitting up the pickleball courts in Fulton, going down to River North and posting up on the river there across from Marina Towers after Cubs games, and soaking in some sun, getting some happy hour, going to the beach, playing some volleyball. Sometimes I bring my fishing poles, do a little fishing there on the river. So for me, I'm a value guy. I like more games, more experiences than fancy tickets. I like left field over right field because you can also see downtown from left field. I like to be in the sun, then the shade, and I like my old style, nice and cold. So let's fly the W. Let's have a great time. Go Cubs, go. And remember to stay for the entire game. You paid for tickets. Don't leave early. I don't care if they're down a lot of runs. You got to stay for the seventh inning stretch, and you got to stay through the ninth inning to sing the theme song after the game. There's no reason to ever leave Wrigley at the bottom of the eighth inning when the Cubs are up because you're trying to get to your car real quick and get home to your couch and sit there like a herb by yourself and watch TV. We're going to Wrigley to have fun, to be social because it's Chicago summer, and you stay for the whole game and you stay for after, and you don't rush out of the ballpark of the friendly confines. Bear down, ball out.